This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first today, Duane Towes visits with Kathryn Reif to talk about how to reduce the spread of anaplasmosis.
Duane Towes joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Kathryn Reif at the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. And Kathryn, anaplasmosis, kind of a slang term that a lot of cattle producers will discuss, but it's an issue that's becoming more prevalent in Kansas. Kind of started on the eastern end of the state and making its way west, and unfortunately more prevalent than what some producers maybe realize.
Yes. So in collaboration with Dr. Greg Hanslachek at the Veterinary Diagnostic Lab at K-State, my group participated in helping to assess the prevalence of anaplasmosis across the state of Kansas. And through our combined work, we found that about 47% of beef cattle herds in the state are actively infected with this particular pathogen, which I think was quite a surprise to several cattle producers or the cattle producing community. Part of our work now is also looking at the strain diversity of Anaplasma marginale, which is the agent of anaplasmosis, and we found great diversity, great strain or genetic diversity in this pathogen, which has implications on, which could have implications on virulence of the pathogen, transmissibility, and susceptibility or resistance to antimicrobial options that producers have available to them to control or prevent this disease in their cattle herds. We're pretty excited. We recently received a USDA grant to study the current chlorotetracycline treatment options for anaplasmosis in cattle. And what we're going to be doing is propagating a couple different strains of Anaplasma marginale, and then once they enter into the carrier state of the disease, which is the state that most cattle are in, because it's a chronic disease that once infected, cattle can carry for up to the rest of their life, we're going to try to look to see how clinical disease is affected by 4 different treatment options of chlorotetracycline, so that we can provide evidence to the FDA as to whether the current recommended or the current approved treatment doses or treatment regimens of chlorotetracycline are actually working to prevent clinical disease or suppress the level of bacteria in the blood of the cattle.
Think about transmission, primarily tick-borne disease or transmitted disease, flies to some extent, but not nearly as prevalent. But producers can play a part as well in replacing needles and not transferring from one cow to another.
Yes, so ticks are the biological vector of anaplasmosis, which means that the tick actually replicates the pathogen within it. Flies are an example of a mechanical means of transmission, so the bacteria isn't replicating on the fly. It's really a function of contamination. You have to have a really high bacteremia in the cow in order for those mechanical means of transmission to be successful, but in the carrier state, it's much less successful. Producers can complicate transmission or add to the transmission problems by reusing needles or not disinfecting surgical equipment like dehorners. So if one of the best ways, especially if you want to limit the transmission of anaplasmosis in your herd, is to do just that, is to disinfect those surgical instruments and change needles as is feasible.
Our thanks to Dr. Kathryn Reif joining us from the Vet Med College here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. The Kansas soybean update is next here on Farm Factor. Don't go away.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.